Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're now tuned to CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man DM Cool, and welcome to Cool Radio. And that was my man Del Hartley with Ready to Go, and he will be one of the performers that will be performing at the Canadian Urban Music Conference happening this Saturday in Toronto. And here on the line is one of the organizers of this event, and I'm talking about my man, the myth, the legend, Eb Rainbergs. Eb, how's it going, man?
It's good, Cool. I'm doing all right.
All right, that's what's up, man. So you got to tell the people, how did this event come about? When did it first start?
Let me tell you that we're in our third year for the Canadian Urban Music Conference now. And it's been a long road, but the beginning, the origin of this is we sat down. And when I say we, I say me, a number of the people that I know that were in my inner circle. As you already know, I'm an entertainment lawyer in town, and I represent a whole bunch of people that are in the music industry. But my heart is with urban music because all the stuff that you play, that's the stuff that I listen to. So I looked around the room and I spoke to my colleagues and I said, we've got the talent in this city. We've got the Drakes. We've got the Weekends. We've got the Party Next Door. And that's just one crew. Look at everybody else we got in this city. Now tell me this. Where are the executives? Where's the L.A. Reid? Where's the Diddy? You know, where's the Master P? I don't even see where the Master P is. We don't need to necessarily focus on the talent right now. We need to focus on the infrastructure. And that was the seed for the Canadian Urban Music Conference.
Hey, I agree with you 100%. I'm glad you brought out the executive point, because I feel like, yes, we do have the talent, but the infrastructure is something that's lacking, and we don't really have enough people behind the desk, behind the board, so to speak, who can actually, coordinate all the talent that's happening within the city, let alone the country. So how important is that of a necessity to, increase awareness and about the Canadian urban music culture?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how many radio stations out there are playing Del Hartley. But I was just dancing when I was listening and waiting for you to cue me in.
I
was all over that. That's the problem. So it is extremely important for us to have an infrastructure so that we can give the artists an opportunity to shine. Listen, nobody gets to the top of the mountain by themselves. They've got to have a team. And that team, well, we've got the talent here, but now we need the other team members. We need the management. We need the production. We need, the agents. We need the venues. We need the radio stations, whether they be online or over the air. We need it all. And it all starts with us working together, not separate and apart. And so the conference is an opportunity to get everybody in the same room just so that you can start a discussion.
I agree 100%. Now, you did mention earlier the Master P's and the Diddy's and all those big music moguls of America, obviously, as you already know. I do remember a time, starting, I would say, between the early and mid-2000s, you saw Atlanta come up, and then during that same time frame, Houston came up as well, and there's a lot of their guys collaborating with one another. Do you feel as if Toronto has potential to collaborate with, their fellow cohorts so that they can spark a movement like those, but except maybe even greater?
Well, it definitely has the potential. Why? Because it has all of the ingredients that are necessary. We are the hot city now. Us and another place in the world. I'll tell you, there's two places. When people say music now and you're in the U.S. and they say, oh, yeah, what's going on in Miami? Nobody's really listening. What's going on in Atlanta? Yeah, I've been there, done that. When they say what's going on in Toronto or what's going on in Dubai, these places, they go, hey, what's going on up there? We want to know. So we've got the ingredients. It's our time to shine, but we're not going to do it everybody in their own camp. The camps have to come together. We all have to work as one. Everybody should be there should be shows every weekend where I can go see 5, 6. The big ticket is coming up.
Yes.
Hey, that's the big show that I see in town.
Trust me.
What else is going on? Once a month. Well, I need more than once a month. I need twice a month now. And I need these acts not only just working together, but are the management teams working together? All of that. So, yeah, it's our time because we have the ingredients and because we have the eyes of the world on us right now.
Absolutely, man. Now, one thing that I always tend to notice, me being both an artist and a radio personality, I happen to find that when a lot of people say, Canadian rap or this, that, and the third, they always they always put Toronto at the forefront, and it almost sounds as if Toronto is the only city that specializes in hip hop. How important is it to bring awareness to the country as far as other cities like a Montreal, like Vancouver? Like, how important is it to just mention other cities in Canada other than Toronto when it comes to hip hop?
Hey, I know you say Toronto, but I think there's a lot of people in a lot of other cities listening to you right now saying, how dare he say that?
Mm-hmm.
And I know a whole bunch of people in Vancouver are going to tell you that Vancouver is the home of hip-hop.
Mm-hmm.
You just talk to the guys at Swollen Members right there. Let's get Mad Child on this. He's gonna disagree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
How important is it? Extremely important. It's extremely important for Toronto to recognize Vancouver and for Vancouver to recognize Ottawa and Montreal and so on and so forth, because we share a lot of the same issues. And our issue, that issue is one of a marketplace. How do we get through to our market in this country? Not just in this city, but in this country. And then how do we bridge our market or our music internationally? And so it's very important. I mean, you don't get to the top of that mountain hating on people.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Look at Shad. Shad has done some amazing things. And he's not from the T-Dot.
Nah, he's one of my personal favorites, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, in that regard, how do you see, not even just Toronto, I want to say Canada, because yes, Toronto is the more popular city as well too, but there are a lot of other hotbeds in Canada besides Toronto, especially Nova Scotia. They get it popping over there. But I would say let's say in 5 years, where do you see Canadian hip hop as far as recognition?
Well, right now we're on a world stage. So when we say Canadian hip hop, I've got to be very, very careful with the words that I'm talking about and selective. I think music-wise, there isn't much farther you can go except to the top, and we're there now. Now, what do I see? I see us having a larger representation. I see us having more people that we can point to, because even in Toronto right now, people are pulling other people up. And I'll use Party Next Door as an example of that. Okay? So I see us having not only 2, not only 3, but maybe 7 or 8 people that we can point to and say, hey, these people are really making it on the world stage. But hopefully I see us pointing at some executives, some other moves, some labels. Let us get our own cash money. All right? OVO is doing some amazing things. But, they can't be the only one on the block. There's got to be a few more, okay? So let me be able to point to 2, if not 3, maybe labels, independent labels, and people that are putting stuff out outside of the OVO camp maybe and actually making it onto that world stage. That's where I think we will be in the next 3 to 4 years.
Eb, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely excited to go to this event this Saturday, man, because the way you're speaking right now, you're speaking very passionately about it, and I love that, because I feel like we need to see more of that from executives, from artists, from the fans as well too, man. So I appreciate you calling in, my friend.
All right. Anytime. Call me anytime.
All right, man. Sounds good. We got to have you in the studio sometime too, man. How about that?
I'll come up. I'll bring the bottle.
All right, then. That's what's up, man. Take care. I'll see you this Saturday, all right?
I'll see you then. Take care.
All right, man. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was my man, the myth, the legend, Eb Rainbergs, and he's the leader of the Canadian Urban Music Coalition, as I like to call it, all right? They will be having an event this Saturday, so make sure you stay on the web posted about that, and it's definitely going to be a great one. Coming up next, we have the editor-in-chief of Urbanology magazine, Priya Ramanujam, in the building. Stay tuned. But before that, we got to get some commercial breaks, right? Here is my man, Rich Kid out of Saga City, with I Be Lying. And shouts to the step dancers over here at UTM, and they're doing their thing right now. I see that. We'll be right back after these messages. You already know. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're now tuned into CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man, DM C.O.O.L. And you're now tuned into C.O.O.L Radio. Welcome back to the show, people. As promised, in a few minutes, I will have Priya Ramanujam tune into the show. She will be here live in studio, and we're going to talk some hip-hop and all that fun stuff. But first, before we get to that, I got some things to get off my chest, all right? So I know I didn't do this earlier on during the show, but I feel like I got to do it right now because it's just really on my nerves right now. So I got to talk about it, man. And I think the best way to do that is to let that ish breathe. So let's drop that real quick.
Let this bitch breathe.
All right. So in this edition of Let the Ish Breathe, man, I got to air this thing out real quick, man. Lately, and I don't know if this is because we're in like the social media era where everyone has a camera phone attached to them at all times, but there have been a lot of cases of police brutality, all right? And we don't even need to go any further than the whole Mike Brown case happening in Ferguson right now. But a lot of that's been happening, and it leads me to believe, well, not to believe, but it just leads me to think that we really haven't come a long way as far as like racism is concerned, man. I feel like there's still so much more that we have to go through, like not even just like America, but like the world in general. And we can look at it from like a bird's eye view with what's happening in America as far as that's concerned. I mean, in Canada, I don't think it's as blatant as it is in America, maybe from like a systematic standpoint. But in America, I feel like it's not only systematic, but it's also like physical as well, too. I mean, I was looking at a video of a gentleman who was sitting in the passenger side. He wasn't even the driver. He was sitting in the passenger side of a vehicle, and they basically pulled the driver over because of the fact that he had his seatbelt off. So they basically asked him, for whatever reason, his license, his registration, all of his general information, and he gave it to him. He actually complied with the officers, but despite that, that basically wasn't good enough. So maybe a couple minutes into the video, he had his window rolled up. They bashed the window open, and they pulled him out and tased him in the process as well. Mind you, with children in the back seat as well. So that just goes to show that the racism is still alive, whether it's systematic, whether it's physical. And it's a shame, too, because you would think, in 2014, we wouldn't necessarily be over that, but we would actually be making strides to at least be over that. But unfortunately, that isn't the case. So I would, tell people to, be tolerant of others as far as race goes, as far as religion goes, as far as ethnicity goes, et cetera, et cetera. And, speaking on the behalf of race, I mean, let's keep in mind, people, that race is nothing more than a social construct in order to create separations and barriers. So the minute you think beyond that and get past beyond that, then that is at least a step in the right direction. So that's just a little something that I want to air out for the moment. But right now, it's time for the main event. As I told y'all all week long, I have the editor-in-chief of Urbanology magazine in the building. Urbanology has been happening for 10 years now, and it's still running strong. And I have one of the figureheads in the building who's going to talk more about it, as well as, all things hip-hop. I'm talking about my homegirl, Priya Ramanujam. First thing I got to ask you, how did your journey in hip-hop begin?
How I actually got introduced to hip-hop was because of my older brother. So he's 6 years older than me, and he got into hip-hop a really young age. We grew up out in Scarborough, and I guess he got into it in elementary school. So he was probably, I think he was 11, and so I was 5, and he was coming home into this whole hip-hop thing. And so then he put me onto it at a really young age, and I just followed his lead with hip-hop and with magazines, specifically like hip-hop magazines. That's
what's up. Now, on a side note, how was that Nas concert?
Oh, it was really dope.
Oh, I'm so mad I missed it.
Nas is my favorite rapper.
He's my favorite too.
Yeah.
We're going to get along just fine, okay?
And Illmatic is my favorite album.
Oh,
so
you're hitting me right here right now. You're hitting me right here. Right in the sternum area.
And he did it. He performed 2 shows. There was 2 shows, and he gave his all. I went to the second show, and you would have never thought that he had performed. Like, he gave his all to both shows, I'm assuming, and it was really good. And he showed the documentary.
Yes, I heard about that.
Which is also really, really dope, and I think everyone should definitely check that out because it really speaks to some of the social context that's behind Illmatic.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's so. I definitely need to get my eyes on that, most definitely. Now, going back to you, 10 years ago, you did create, or you co-created Urbanology magazine. Looking back at it and then just going fast forward now, was the vision that you had back then, is it still intact now?
I would definitely the vision. The vision was always to create a platform to cover and showcase the urban arts and hip hop arts that happened here in Canada, but also from a Canadian perspective that happens all over the world. Mm-hmm. The second part to the goal was to create a platform for young, aspiring journalists, photographers, creative people mm-hmm. to have an outlet to write about something like that or to photograph things that relate to hip-hop culture, because there aren't that many outlets mm-hmm. here for them to actually work for. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And going on that, actually, you know, Canada, we don't really have our version of the Source or our version of XXL before Urbanology, I'm saying. So when that came, when you did come up with Urbanology, like, was it your mission to fill that void that we didn't have before?
We wanted to fill the void, yes, definitely. And you look at the newsstand, you see quality magazines that are representing different things. They say things like Canadian Living, Toronto mm-hmm. Life, but then when you look in them, the Canadian life or Canadian living that they're covering, mm-hmm. it didn't really reflect anything that we could relate to.
Yeah.
So we were trying to bring to the newsstand something that would fill the gap. We didn't want it. It wasn't just to be a Canadian knockoff of the XXL or the Source, but it was to be that Canadian voice that we needed.
Yeah. I would say so myself too, actually. Now, when interviewing different artists, you know, especially rappers, like, do you feel as if they kind of get apprehensive before the interview?
Like nervous?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that I don't know if it's necessarily nervous, but I think sometimes artists in general, but rappers definitely fall into that. They get so many interviews that sometimes I think they get a little tired of being asked the same question.
Yeah.
So we always try to prep our team members or ourselves, if we're doing the interview, to make sure that they come with something really unique and a unique angle or unique question, to allow the artist to feel like this is the first time they're being asked that question.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, there have been many cases where someone will be reading a magazine or something of the sort, and basically when a rapper sees something that they don't like printed in that magazine, they often point fingers at, you know, the publication, saying they took their words out of context or whatever. So if you're confronted with that type of situation, how do you go about it?
Well, we do something called fact checking, the whole fact checking process, and I think over the years, it's definitely something that's more magazine related than, say, newspaper related.
Yeah.
But over the years, I think, especially with the internet and the advancement of things like blogs and whatnot, I think people have stopped doing fact checking as much. Urbanology isn't one of those places, maybe to the dislike of some of my team members. We still do a really rigorous job of fact checking. We record everything. So we try really hard to prevent things like that from happening. Not necessarily with rappers, but we have had a couple of occasions where source in a story, you know, whoever that may be, has come back and said, oh, I don't think I said that or whatnot. And we're able to actually corroborate it with their audio and let them see that they did say it and that we didn't take the words out of context. And they're usually fine with it at that point. I think sometimes people, they just get a little nervous about what they said. And then the easiest thing to do is to say, you know, you didn't capture me accurately. But if you've done your due diligence as a magazine, then you can back it up. I think the problem is a lot of websites, blogs, etc., that are out there, they don't do that process anymore. And because it's all about what you can put out there in the world the fastest, not necessarily the most accurate. And so as a result, the artists they do have a leg to stand on, because they could say, I didn't say that, and you don't really have any way to back it up.
Exactly. And this is why you transcribe, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. I'm a big supporter of transcribing, again, to the dislike of my team members, I think.
I mean, it's very tedious, but, it's necessary in those sorts of situations, especially, too. So earlier this week, actually, Charlamagne Tha God of The Breakfast Club, Power 105, basically, he has his own show called The Brilliant Idiots with a gentleman named Andrew Schultz. Now, in that show, in one particular episode, he was talking about how come, Nicki Minaj doesn't like him anymore. And basically, he went on to say how she doesn't like him because of the fact that he was criticizing her Anaconda single. And he basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, that the song isn't for me. It's probably for, girls who want to shake their butts in the club or whatever, but that's fine. And so basically, Nicki caught an attitude off of that and just does not want to be on The Breakfast Club anymore, want to associate with Charlamagne. Now, my thing is this. Do you feel that rappers, as some rappers at the very least, the way they kind of have somewhat of a bravado to them in their songs, do you feel as if they're sensitive to constructive criticism at the very least?
I think some rappers and some artists probably in general are sensitive to the critique. I know there is a lot of artists that pay attention to blogs, they pay attention to tweets, not just from media outlets, but just from like the public.
Yeah,
right? Like,
which is a no-no in my opinion. I'm just saying.
They pay attention to all of that, and sometimes they do catch feelings off of it. And as a result of something that you might write or something that you might say, you may jeopardize them from coming on your show or being in your magazine. But there's also a journalistic integrity. We can't, if we're critically examining something, we can't like everything.
True.
Right? So I think they have to understand that if you want a real review, and not just someone who's going to give you 10 out of 10 or whatever the rating system is, just because you're Nicki Minaj, then you have to kind of open yourself up to that, I think. Not everyone's going to like everything. Fair
enough. I mean, I kind of feel like BET kind of gave her the yes treatment when they gave her the award for Best Female Rapper when she didn't really do a whole lot that year in comparison to someone like Iggy. Now, I'm not crazy about either one of them, but like the work should speak for itself, So like I felt like they should have judged accordingly, and I felt like Nicki kind of, I don't want to say she played a hand in it, but I feel like she's kind of favored between the two. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Now, I'm looking at this magazine right here that you have presented to me, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Earlier today, while I was doing my due diligence, my bad, jeez, I need some water. While I was doing my due diligence as a journalist, I came across a quote that Pusha T said in this particular issue of the magazine, and it goes as followed, and I quote, "I'm here to stand the test of time. I want crowns, period. I'm here to compete and claim king. That's it." So, based on that quote, would you share the same sentiment as far as Urbanology is concerned?
That we're here to claim crowns?
Yeah, or not necessarily claim a crown, but here to stay, basically.
Definitely here to stay.
Yeah.
I think the magazine industry is a little bit different, I guess, from what he's saying in terms of him being in the arena of rappers, but we are definitely here to stay. Yes, as a brand, as what we stand for, and as a media outlet.
Okay, and what's the one distinguishable quality about your magazine or your publication rather that's different from anyone else's? Never mind rap, just in general, I would say.
I think it's probably that we are bringing that high quality journalistic and creative arts content to a hip hop magazine. And sometimes I like to say that we're hip hop coverage in long form hip hop coverage in a short form world, because we're giving you a little bit more in-depth insight into different things. Whereas the world, like I mentioned before, is moving on we have to give as much content as possible, and it's just about quantity, not about quality. So we're really about quality over quantity. We understand and recognize, and we put out content to play in the field. Obviously, we understand that. But I do think that it matters what you put out into the world. We have a slogan, which is we deliver content that matters. And we really stand by that motto. So I think before we put out an article, you know, it would be fact checked, no matter whether it's 100 words or 6,000 words. And so we want to bring that quality journalism, and I'm not saying everybody's going to have the appetite for it, but the people who have the appetite for it, they've been rocking with us for this many years.
Yeah. And hey, that's what's up. That's all you can ask for at the end of the day, right? So we're going to get into all that good stuff later on during the broadcast. But before we do, we got to play some games, okay? Because I like to have fun with the guests, you know. I like to make them feel at home, make them feel comfortable. Let the audience at home, you know, what kind of personality they got going on. So on that note, let's begin, all right? So I have a personalized game for you, which I like to call Urban Planner, okay? So here's how the game goes. I have selected 3 of each kind. So first, you now have your own record label. You just started it up, and now you're looking for hot new talents, all right? So I have 3 rappers, 3 producers, and 3 topics, all right? So let's start with the artists first. Out of these artists that I have, you know, selected, who are now free agents, you know, in this little hypothetical game that we're playing, which one of these 3 would you choose to be the flag bearer of your label, so to speak? Would you choose Drake, Kendrick Lamar, or Childish Gambino? The people are waiting.
Oh, man, and I could only choose one.
Just one. It's like fantasy drafting. I'm sure my man knows all about that.
I'd say I'll pick Drake.
Drake, okay, we're sticking with the hometown hero. Not mad, not mad. All right, now, producers. Which one of these 3 producers would you have him work on his debut album, just top to bottom like they did in the old school? Would you get Just Blaze, Pharrell, or Dr. Dre? Tick tock. No, just playing.
I think I would get Dr. Dre.
Dr. J, okay. I had a feeling you would pick Dr. J. I don't know why. I just had a feeling. All right. And finally, which topic of choice would you have them use for their first single? Would you have Drake, with a Dr. Dre produced beat, select a socially conscious record, a party record, or a braggadocious record?
I think probably for the first record from Drake, I'd probably try him on a braggadocious record.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could probably see that. Yeah, you could probably get away with that. Like Over from Thank Me Later. It's kind of braggadocious in a way. All right, fair enough. I ain't mad at that. Me personally, it would have been a toss-up between Kendrick Lamar and Childish Gambino with a Pharrell beat, but hey, that's just me.
It was a toss-up between Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. There's no wrong answer in this game. Now, second game. This is a game that's a mainstay on this show. We play this game with everyone who comes through here, man, woman, it does not matter. This game is called I'd Quit the Game.
Every second, every minute, man, I swear that she can get it.
Speaking of Kendrick Lamar, of course. Now, this game is a little different. This game, you are the eligible bachelorette. You're living your life. You're living single like Sinclair. Everything is good in your world. But there comes a point in time in everyone's life where you got to settle down with that one person. You got to have them kids. Got to get the yellow picket fence with the tire swing, with the golden retriever running in the lawn and all that good stuff. So, on that note, which one of these 2 gentlemen would you quit the game for? Which one of these gentlemen would you want them to put a ring on it, so to speak? Would you select T.I. or 50 Cent?
Oh, T.I.
I knew that was going to be an obvious one. I knew that was an obvious one. Why T.I.?
I think I've always had a little crush on T.I.
Fair enough.
Back in the day, yeah.
Fair enough. I ain't mad at that. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Priya Ramanujam in the building, so keep it locked. We got more after the commercial breaks, but first we got to get some more music. And this one is particularly special because this one comes from my man Andrick Rose. He is celebrating his birthday today, and he also released an EP today entitled 25 in honor of his 25th birthday, of course. And this is the first single off of that 25 EP. It's called Just Me and Mine, featuring Toonie. So on that note, we're about to play that track right now, so keep it locked. This is Cool Radio, and we will be right back after these messages. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're now tuned to CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man, DM Cool. And you're now tuned into Cool Radio. Welcome back to the show, people. I still got the editor-in-chief of Urbanology magazine, Priya Ramanujam, in the building. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
You already know. So basically, you guys already know what time it is, man. It is time for Trip Talk. That is where we break down 3 topics in 3 minutes. We may have to zoom by just a little bit, but not too much. But either way, you're going to get a gist of everything that's happening in the world of hip-hop nonetheless. So on that note, let us begin, shall we? First topic on the docket. We got to talk about the legendary rap group NWA. They have just been nominated to be inductees into the 2015 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class. They were already nominated for the 2013 class, but now they have a second shot at redemption. So, Priya, what do you think about these news and developments?
Well, it's probably long overdue.
Oh, yeah.
Long overdue, in my opinion, for NWA, but well-deserved. So I'm glad that they're going to be getting in there.
Absolutely. I always like to see acts outside of rock and roll that get inducted because it shows you how much of an impact they had, not just on their own respective genre, but like throughout the whole music sphere as well too. So definitely a good look for NWA as well. Next topic on the docket. This one comes by way of Nicki Minaj. All right. So basically, what happened with Nicki Minaj is that she was supposed to perform at a concert in South Africa, but the concert got canceled on their part. But basically, before they had her on, they already gave her a deposit of the equivalent to $900,000 US. And basically, they're asking for that money back. So this one's a little tricky. Do you see Nicki in the wrong for this, or this promo group?
How much money did they give her?
So in their currency is measured at 10 million rands. So the approximate total of that in US dollars is 900,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the deposit?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's why they're asking for it back. They're even going as far as to say that she should donate it to a charity rather than another boob job.
Oh.
Yeah. They're going for the jugular with this one.
Well, I mean, it is a tough one, like you said, but I would have to go back to just straight business on that one. What did the contract say? What was the agreement that they made? And if there was a time period that they could ask for the deposit back, and what were the reasons for canceling? I think all of those things would be important to note. Exactly.
Like, I just want to be a fly on the wall and know the exact details because it's like, you wanted to give the money back, fine, but that was a deposit. So you already agreed that money was going to be going to her. And 900,000, damn, like I didn't know rappers were getting paid that much for a show. Shoot.
That's why I asked you again.
Yeah. Like, no, that's, I don't know, man. That one's hard to call still. So I can't even be mad at Nicki on this one, man, because she must have some great lawyers on her case.
Yeah, and I think also if you're going to pay someone a $900,000 deposit, you don't cancel.
Yeah, no.
You don't cancel.
No, you make sure the show goes on. Doesn't matter who broke a leg, what stanch is missing. You continue that show. You get your money's worth. And on the final topic for Trip Talk, this one comes from the hometown hero Drake. Now, this one's a little hard to swallow because Drake, allegedly made threats to a Houston entertainer by the name of Johnny Blaze. Now, Johnny is alleging Drake of basically threatening her after she had leaked reports of him and her being together, and him allegedly saying, no, don't say that we are together. So now she is calling upon the Houston Police Department to launch an investigation towards her allegations. How do you feel about this?
I was watching a couple of videos about this the other day. It's to me, actually, when I was watching the videos, I thought to myself, it's still in a really high level of speculation aspect. Yes. There doesn't seem to be a lot of facts around it. It's just a lot of hearsay and speculation. Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to. It's also very sensitive in terms of the subject matter and the allegation. So if there's truth to it, you don't want to make light of that. Exactly. But I think sometimes people do get the hype of being a celebrity. Gets out of hand. Yeah. And I think that might be contributing to this.
Yeah, and that's what I think as well, too. And, like, I'm hearing these reports and stuff like that, and Drake has never been one to shy away from the fact that he is dating a quote-unquote video chick. So I'm not sure, how true these allegations could possibly be. It would be nice to, again, be a fly on the wall and know exactly what happened and, like, how it got to this point. But I'm hoping that Drake is in the right in this situation. I hope this is nothing more than just petty rumors and just her being bitter about whatever, typical groupie stuff, basically. But anyways, enough of all that. It's Thursday, so you know what that means. Hashtag TBT, hashtag Throwback Thursday. It's time for that Throwback Thursday track of the day. It's time to get old school with it, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all already know how we do. Hit me up at DM_cool, at cool_radio to let me know what old school track you want played for the week. And this time around, we already talked about it earlier in the broadcast. Nas had a performance in Toronto where he showed the Time is Illmatic documentary and performed. Did he perform the entirety of Illmatic or just a few songs?
The whole thing, start to finish.
I'm so mad right now. Anyways, since Illmatic is my favorite hip-hop album of all time, I feel it's only right that I play my favorite Nas song of all time. This was track 4, I believe, on Illmatic. I'm talking about The World Is Yours. Whose world is this? So on that note, we're going to play that, and afterwards, we will get to this week's Wankster of the Week. And this one is going to be one doozy of a wankster. So keep it locked. This is Cool Radio, and we'll be right back after these messages. Yep.
It's your man, Chris Godrock.
What's up, my family? It's Maliki and Sweet Senorita.
It's your boy, Dirty Germa. This is All Mills from the Critics. I just finished my interview at Cool Radio. And I'm just letting you guys know that you guys need to tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. because this place is wild.
Of course! Don't touch that dial.
You miss your disc. You understand? You
Welcome back to the show, y'all. You're now tuned into CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man, DM Cool, and you're now tuned into Cool Radio. Welcome back to the show, people. I still got my girl editor-in-chief of Urbanology magazine, Priya Ramanujam, in the building. And right about now, it's that portion of the show that you love so much. It's the one that got us our CFRE award, I find, in my opinion. I like to call this one Wankster of the Week, so let's drop that. Now, for all our first-time listeners of the show, Wankster of the Week is that portion of the show where we congratulate those who have done certain acts of ratchetness and have just taken it and just made complete asses out of themselves and have given themselves a place in the hallowed halls of Wankster of the Week Hall of Fame, so to speak. Now, this particular gentleman, he is no stranger to Wankster of the Week. Actually, this is his second time, so you could say he is a repeat offender of being a wankster. I am talking about LA battle rapper Daylyt. He is this week's Wankster of the Week because he attempted to drop a deuce on stage. Yes, people, he attempted to do on stage, to take a shit, to defecate, to release excrements from his bowels. He tried to do that while he was on stage. Now, this is how it happened, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we all know that, as far as those who are familiar with the battle rap culture, Daylyt is one of those rappers who likes to make antics and create gimmicks and stuff like that, much to either the chagrin of the crowd or to entertain the crowd, whichever way. And basically, this time, I think he just took it too far on all levels. So basically how it happened was he was performing and people were booing him. And so he is quoted as saying that if I hear 2 more boos, I'm going to take a boo-boo on stage. So what does the crowd do? They continue to boo him. So what does he do? He takes down his pants. He spreads them cheeks open like it's TSA, and he attempts to push one out, as they say. As he's attempting to do this, security comes in and takes him away and locks him outside the venue. Now, Daylyt, after he was tossed out of the venue, had this to say, and I quote, "I'm just a gay black man trying to make it in this world. That's it." And he continues on to say, "I told them weeks in advance, don't put everybody after me because I'm going to shut the event down. I told them." Yes, you did tell them, Daylyt, but no one said for you to take a shit on stage. That you just don't do that. Now, I'm all for, catching the people by surprise, entertaining them, but when it gets a little too much, then you're just acting like a coon right now. I can't even defend this. I mean, I just can't. I can't even find the words to even roast the man for doing this. It just speaks for itself. You tried to take a dump on stage when people weren't liking what you're doing. How about instead of being such a gimmick, how about just rap? Because that's what the people paid for. And battle rap tickets are not cheap. Like, those things run for at least $30. Like, they're not cheap. So people expect to see the show. So you better deliver or else prepare to face the consequences. And in this case, he got tossed on his ass, literally. So, do I feel he deserves to be the Wankster of the Week? Of course he does. So on that note, I think I should drop that Wankster on him one more time for the people's sake. Priya, what's your take on this?
There's no words for that.
There really isn't. So let's move on from that, and let's get into your future plans for Urbanology. We still got about 2 minutes left, so what upcoming plans do you have for the publication?
Well, the magazine, like you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. So December 5th will be 10 years since we put out our very first issue. Mm-hmm. So we'll keep on plugging along with our mission. We're going to be releasing a tablet version of the magazine so people can check it out digitally. And we co-present an event that's put on by a company called Sound Supremacy Entertainment, and that's called the Battle of the Beatmakers. Mm-hmm. My listeners may have heard of it, a place where people such as Boy Wonder, Wonder Girl, T-, first kind of got their had a stomping ground. So that's coming up on November 8th. Registration is now open, so we're really hoping that we'll get out a lot of up-and-coming aspiring producers for that. So those are the two big things, I guess, on the forefront. And everyone can check out our newly revamped website, urbanologymag.com.
And that's what's up. Priya, thank you for coming through. You are welcome here anytime. You already know what it is, man. And as for yours truly, you can hit me up on Twitter at DM_cool, and also hit up the show at cool_radio, because we definitely got some good stuff for you. And next week's episode, we got my man Ajak Rose coming through in the building. He's going to be here to promote his new EP 25, all that good stuff, and a whole lot more. Once again, I am your man DM Cool, and we are out of here. Peace.